Our yearly over-unders prediction show with Will Furr. Will the Pacers win more or less than their predicted win total? How much is Ben Mathurin going to score this year? Is Johnny Furphy going to play? And so much more with Jay Huff, the team's offense and defense. And we break it all down today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today, shirt number 2 for my Europe trip, Barcelona shirt this time, and Will Furr is here to talk about over-unders for the Pacers this season. Our yearly tradition of doing this in August, where we first dive into the Vegas win total number. Do we think the Pacers will go over under there? And then several that I make up, including Mathurin. Can he lead the team in scoring? Where will the team rank on offense and defense? Jay Huff, Johnny Furphy. How much are they going to win in the playoffs? And so much more today. We also, to start, run through last year's contest. Will smoked me for the second year in a row. What did we get right and wrong? What did it say about the Pacers last year? And in this case, very relevant because it actually says something about the Pacers this year. So lots of great stuff today. Good debates, good conversation. Love chatting with Will. Let's just get right to it. It is time for the Locked On Pacers yearly over-under contest with Will Furr. A now third annual tradition that I don't believe I've ever actually won. So I host the show, I come up with the topics, and then I incorrectly predict them. That's how this goes. It's very fun. One of the over-unders is the obvious one set by our lovely oddsmaker friends. The other 6 I come up with myself, usually related to either players that I think are extremely interesting or important to the season coming for the Pacers, or somebody new. So their context can be better debated on this show before we do our 7 over-unders for this year. Will, you smoked me. 6 out of 7 correct for Mr. Will Furr last year. To run through, remember, Manny last year, it projected a season for the Pacers filled with mostly winning. I projected 49 wins, but a little bit of development mixed in. So let's run through those last year's categories. We both correctly predicted over 47.5 wins for the Pacers. That was the Vegas line, which was very funny. They won more games than that before, and we're going to be a better team. We both predicted over 51.5 games played for Jarris Walker as he sat on the fringes of the rotation. He smoked at 75. Good job, Will Furr. Our first discrepancy, Pascal Siakam over under half an all-star appearance, a.k.a. will he be an all-star? Congratulations, Will Furr. I have not let you talk for 90 seconds. You were right. He was an all-star. Pat yourself on the back. How do you feel about it?
I just feel wonderful. There's so many people I want to thank. I just don't have the time. But it was great. Pascal,
he balled out, man. He was awesome. It's hard to the East was thought to be so good, and they had a lot of guys get hurt, and he was amazing. He was like better than Haliburton to start the season. He totally deserved it. Bennedict Mathurin over under 24 minutes per game, as it was kind of unclear what his role was going to be. He smashed it, nearly 30 minutes per game. We both predicted the over there. Defensive rating, over or under 22.5. Were they finally going to guard? For a while, I was looking like a winner. I picked over barely. Will picked the under with some confidence and destroyed me. It wasn't even close. The Pacers were an above-average defense last year, finishing in 14th. Will, pat yourself on the back. I don't even think you thought they'd get to 14th, but you were right. It was under 22.5. And this will be a topic again today. Congratulations.
Hey, I'll take close enough.
I'm not sure about their defense this year, as we'll get to. The sad one we both get correct. The new guy, one of the more anticipated players of last year's offseason, James Wiseman. Over under 41 games in the rotation. Is he going to get in there? No. Unfortunately, he did not reach that threshold. We all know why he got hurt. He didn't even get the chance. And a sad one to get wrong, but not end up mattering. Over under 3.5 offensive rating rank. Will they continue to be one of the best teams on offense in the league? Will's only incorrect answer. We both picked the under, expecting them to be an elite offense, and they were merely a very good offense, finishing in 9th. Will Furr 6, Tony East 4. Yikes. I come up with these topics. I've got to be better. I can set the line wherever I want. I do the research for them. Ugh. So, Will, I think a key part of this is that despite it being a season where they ended up even more than we both thought, relying on Walker and Mathurin, they still were able to be good. And that's going to be kind of interesting as we venture into this year's over-unders, is that this team is, even as they are young and growing, good right now. And that's going to make it really interesting to kind of wade through what we're about to talk about, which is a very similar situation this year, albeit in a much different context without Haliburton, a team full of young players that in theory should be skewing towards development, but doing so still is good because a lot of the young players they'll put on the floor are good right now.
Yeah, I don't think you could send Siakam home for a season and they're still not going to be in the bottom of the East.
Yeah.
They just got too many guys who are competent or better NBA players.
I mean, even if he doesn't play a minute, right? Like Nembhard, Mathurin, Nesmith, Toppin, whoever the center is lineup is like good enough. Like that's better than the worst 5 teams in the East, at least, or close to, your Chicago level at that point, right? And Chicago's always the bar to make the play-in tournament. I'm sorry to the Bulls. That's just what you are. So, yeah, they're right in that mix without the guy who they had an all-star last year with, and that's where they sit. And that is why this last year we did this after the schedule came out, so I had made my official win total number prediction from that. The schedule is going to come out this week, and I'll do that next Monday. But we get to the point here of the first question, which is, this is the only one I did not set. This one is set by FanDuel's line. Their win total, the most classic over-under there is. It is currently set at 38.5. So if you go half over-under, basically 12 or 11 wins lost from last year because they lose Haliburton and Turner and their backup center and Thomas Bryant, but they gain Jay Huff, Cam Jones, James Wiseman, of course, on their team. Yeah, of course they're going to be worse. Do I think they're a sub 500 team with the starting lineup I just said without Siakam? And you throw Siakam into that mix, plus some quality players off the bench, I think they're probably about a 500 team. And the reason that I'm going over, I'm going first, is that the East sucks. And I think they can win enough games against even the good teams in the East aren't awesome. There's only 2 that's going to be so hard to win kind of opponents in the conference. So I don't know how far over that I'm going. I think it's a decent line, but I mean, every year the Pacers get slightly low on these lines because it's more enticing people to bet than anything. I think my number is going to end up somewhere between 40 and 43. So I am somewhat confidently taking the over. Where did you land?
Over. I think it'll be over 40. I think 41 or 42 is where they'll settle in, right about 500.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It's interesting, of course, they actually have their pick, but the gymnastics they'd have to go through to try to tank, to try to improve that pick. I don't know how they could even go there. Maybe some Toronto Raptors style in game. All right, Jarris, you're the point guard for the last 9 minutes of the fourth quarter. Now you're tired. It's cool. Just go do it, kind of stuff. But I don't think we'll see anything systemic.
It's just hard to do when their guys are young. Like the year that they went, like the year they ended up getting the Jarris pick, like the guys they were playing down the stretch or sitting down the stretch, were like somewhat older at least. Like I guess Buddy Hield played every game, but they were keeping guys out of the lineup that like weren't a part of their future or anything like that. Like they don't have that on the team. Like they were playing George Hill in those games, and like that was O'Shea's last time with the team. James Johnson was getting actual burn, like Jordan Nwora was playing. Right? They don't have anyone like that. Like the guys that play this year are like much more capable than that, so it's hard to even tank. And again, like to the getting that point of the season, like the guys they were sitting out, some of them were young because they're just so good, but they're running into a situation where their young guys are talented. And next year, I'm already coining the summer of the extension. And you're like, if you're playing for an extension, you want to play well. Like none of these guys are going to want to sit for this team, which is also quite the hurdle when it comes to tanking. Right? Next year, I believe I have to double check this, but I believe the extension eligible crew next year on standard extensions is Tyrese Haliburton, Pascal Siakam, and Andrew Nembhard, Obi Toppin, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell, Ben Mather will be a free agent. Jarris Walker will be extension eligible. Ben Shepherd will be extension eligible. It's like the whole freaking team, right? Like all of them will want to play well and give themselves at least a chance. So, yeah, I think the inertia sometimes these teams who own their pick, like you said, is to go under. But I agree. I think they're too good. The East is too bad, and the players have too much financially to play for that I think this will be an over. And I think that I'm fairly confident of that, barring injuries, of course, which is a stupid reason to lose it.
Yeah, and that's not even touching on competent coaching, which I think probably gets them a couple wins every year.
How many wins, too, can you bake in for, like, this is just in theory, and I said this last year, too. Like, Nembhard is obviously in a different role, but, like, he should be better. He's in his fourth season, right? Mathurin should be better. Basically, I mean, the only guys with more than 5 years of service on their whole team are Tony Bradley, TJ McConnell, and Pascal Siakam. Like, there's, in theory, a way that a lot of players who are playing a lot of minutes this year could be better. I'm smashing the over. That one's easy. Everybody, quick break so we can talk about Gametime. We've all been there. You log on early. You're waiting forever for those concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That is where Gametime comes in. They make getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of endlessly scrolling to find the best deal, or if you've wondered what your view is going to look like in the venue before you buy, the Gametime app shows you a panoramic seat view. They have zone deals, so you get the best seats in your section. The price you see is the price you pay. There's no hidden fees, and they have your back with cancellation protection. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show and sports tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKDOWNNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Okay, let's get to individuals. We'll mix in some team rank stuff. Perhaps to many, the most interesting player on the team this year. I was approached with this question on the Setting the Pace podcast, and I answered, and now I'm not as confident in my answer. Bennedict Mathurin, over or under 1.5 in terms of his scoring rank on the team this season, and this is my cute way of asking. Will Furr, is Ben Mathurin going to be the team's leading scorer this year?
I don't believe he is. I think he's going to be number 2.
Yeah, okay. I think I land there too, but give me your reasoning.
Siakam's a better player. I don't even know if Mathurin's going to start. And that
we do know that now. Rick Carlisle said this.
Did he? Okay.
Yes.
I think that'll make it closer. I was curious about that. Siakam's a better player. And I do think it'll probably be close, something like 26, 23. Somewhere in that range. Ben's going to score a bunch of points. I don't think he'll score the most. Here's
the trouble I'm having. How much is Mathurin's role going to change? Because he played. So let me back up. When Facci floated this question on Setting the Pace, it was like about Mathurin leading this team in scoring. I really thought about it. I was like, wow, that's a real chance. Like, he played 29.8 minutes a game last year. It's not like his minutes are going to go up so much this year, right? Maybe a minute or two, obviously. But the Pacers don't get anybody really above 32 in the Carlisle era. Maybe it'll be a little different knowing that their playoff run likelihood is lower, but that's just not a thing that they did. Their minutes per game leader last year was Haliburton at 33.6, right? Only 3 guys, were over 30 in general. Mathurin was 4th. So I don't know how much his minutes can totally go up, and he finished with 16 points a game last year. So if his minutes a game go up 3, is he really going to score so much more? Like, the gap between him and Siakam in scoring last year was 4 points a game. So can he score 4 points a game if he's afforded 2 more minutes? Yeah, maybe, but he would have to. I think it would require not only just more time, but like more usage, and I think that's possible. Also, now that we know he's starting, last year was actually his lowest usage rate of his career. If he gets closer to his rookie usage rate, and we know he's starting, then yeah, I suppose it's possible. His per 36 points as a rookie was still his career high at 21.1. Last year at 19.4. But these are not huge differences, and his minutes aren't going to go up as much as I thought originally when the question was asked to me. And since then, we heard Carlisle both say that Mathurin was starting, but in the same podcast say Siakam's our closer, right? They clearly know he's going to be the number 1 option. And so you put all that together, I think that it's going to be Siakam, Mathurin 1-2. I mean, they were 1-3 last year, but I think Siakam, unless he is, let's say, eased into the season for reasons that everybody would kind of understand, or eased out of the season, I think that that Siakam would be my favorite to lead the team in scoring. But if there is a material change to the role of Ben Mathurin, he could do it. But I'm picking Siakam as well.
It comes down, do you think if Ben's in the starting lineup, do you think that Tyrese Haliburton's creation is being replaced by point guard Andrew Nembhard? Or do you think it's going to come from other places, like from Mathurin? It doesn't necessarily have to be more minutes, but the creation has to come from somewhere. And I know Siakam will get a bigger load. He knows how to do that. He's been in the league a long time. But I do think Mathurin will get more of that, more important minutes and more usage, like you said.
Per minute, Mathurin was 7th on the Pacers in points last year. Obviously, there's some fun with small sample sizes. Number 1 was James Wiseman, and number 2 was Moses Brown. So obviously not real answers to that question there. And then Tony Bradley in his 14 games finished number 5. So Toppin actually slid above him in points per minute last year, which is fascinating to see. So do I think Mathurin could lead the team in scoring this year? Yeah, I think it's possible. Do I think I would expect it or pick that? I'm going with no. I'm going to put him at number 2. So we will both be taking the over there. Okay. This one is based in research. And a somewhat defining question for the Pacers this year as they try to figure out how good they're going to be. Last year, with Tyrese Haliburton on the floor, the Pacers had a 119.6 offensive rating. That would be 2nd in the NBA. When Tyrese Haliburton was off the floor, they had a 112.2 offensive rating. That would be 21st in the NBA. They finished 9th on aggregate. Can they, Will Furr, have an offensive rating? I made up this ranking number because here's what I'll explain why. Can they have an offensive rating better or under 17.5 rated this year? So that's obviously a better ranking than 21st, because I think naturally, if you know you're not going to have a guy all year, you can strategize more effectively to play without him. But they don't have Tyrese Haliburton, right? And so how are they going to actually land on the offensive side of the floor? Do you think they can get to close to league average on offense when they were a bottom 10 offense with Haliburton on the bench last year?
I think their offense is going to be often unpleasant to watch.
Ooh.
That being said, I'm going to go ahead and take the over slightly.
I think it's going to be very close. You're at 3 for 3 on the word over, by the way. So the other part of this is, like, I just used Haliburton for the barometer. Like, Miles Turner's also gone. Miles Turner was also an offensive additive last year, right? With Turner and Haliburton together, they were even better on offense. 119.75. It's only a slight bump. But the Turner on no Haliburton offense was still crummy, but it was better than it was just Haliburton off, ever so slightly, right? So Turner was a plus offensive add in terms of offensive rating. They don't have him either. However, I do think that with Huff in, he's better than whatever backup 5 they had last year. And so they have better center play. Andrew Nembhard is going to have a full season at the 1 to figure this out, whereas last year a lot of the Haliburton-less minutes were a little floaty at times with what was going on. I think it's possible they can be better, but I think they're going to end up somewhere between like 18 and 20. I don't think they're going to have quite the scratch to get to league average. I think the way they would get there is something we already talked about. Mathurin being a beast efficiency-wise. Nembhard being a beast floor general, keeping the turnovers down. Or Jay Huff is just like ridiculous. Like, he's awesome right away. That's another way to do it. I think this line's pretty dang good. I'm having a lot of trouble truly giving my answer out there, but my gut tells me they're going to be somewhere between like the 18th and 20th best offense in the league this year. So I am going with over. I think they'll be better than with Haliburton off, but can they get to league average numbers? Last year's 15th rated offense was 114.3. That'd be 2 points per 100 possessions better than last year. Yeah, it's possible that they have a lot of young guys who could improve. I'm tempted to take the under, but I'm going to ever so slightly lean over. And we have both gone over 3 times. Well, this is not good.
Nembhard's going to miss some games. TJ's going to miss some games.
Nemhard's going to be in foul trouble in some games too.
And there's not. Has Q come back? Is that a thing?
He's on a 2-way.
Okay. I like him. I hope they bring him up to the big club and make him a thing. But they don't have a lot at point guard. Cam Jones, I guess, would be next man up. That's rookie point guards don't do a lot for wins.
Yeah, he's 22 already, but usually, I mean, I always say this, usually rookies are bad. Like almost every rookie is just bad. That's fine. Like they're not supposed to be good, but you can't rely on them for winning. So yeah, if they lose any point guard, they're also going to be in trouble. I mean, we keep getting hints that they might, I don't know, maybe they'll add another point guard before the season starts and have them compete with Tony Bradley for a spot on the team. Speaking of a guy we just talked about, Jay Huff. So, new Pacer Jay Huff. Good player, right? Looks like a good fit. Looks like maybe this guy could pop all of a sudden. The stats are nice. Every team he's on doesn't play him as much as people feel like they should. Like he feels like he should solve some problems. Look, Jay Huff clearly had a good season last year. I am very interested in what he's going to be this year. I think he's going to be a good offensive player. I think what he did last year for Memphis was real. I watched enough of him to feel good about that prediction. However, Will Furr, he has played less than 1,000 minutes in his whole career. His entire career, he has played 912 total minutes. That is a stunningly small sample to actually go off of is this guy a real thing? For reference, Jarris Walker played more minutes last season than Jay Huff has his entire career. Thomas Bryant played just for the Pacers last year, nearly as many minutes as Jay Huff has in his entire career, right? This is not a huge sample of time. We do not know how good Jay Huff is going to be. Again, I think we have a reasonable interpretation of that. I've seen him be good in the G League as well. So that said, there's some questions. Will he start? Will he not? Will Jay Huff finish the season over or under 18 and a half minutes per game? His career high, for reference, right now is 13.6 in 7 games for the Wizards 3 seasons ago. Last year in the Grizzlies rotation at 11.7 minutes per game.
I think that's a really good number.
Yes, I did too. Because
I'm going to go slightly under because I think there may be time, and I don't know for sure, but I think there may be time where they give Wiseman some burn. Especially if things are looking kind of ugly. They say, Jay Huff, you're 36, 37 years old. Go rest your body, man. Well, Jay Huff's 28.
Yes. No. 20. I think he turned 27 this season.
Okay.
I should know that. Yes, he turns 27 in 14 days, actually. So, yes.
I will be slightly under, but I think it'll just be because Rick is doing.
So, naturally, when I did the center rotation for the Pacers, I had him about at 20 per game, starting or not, him and Jackson, similar number, and then the other 8 were for Obi Toppin, because I still think the Pacers' best 5-man lineup has Toppin, Siakam as their front court. I think everybody would largely agree with that. Guess what they went to in the finals of the playoffs when it was put up or shut up time? It was Toppin, Siakam in the front court, right? And Turner was not having a good series, which played a factor in that. But still, they know that, and I think that's going to be the thing this year. So he has to be over 18 and a half minutes per game, which should be clear he's never been close to. And I'm not saying he can't do it, right? He is so inexperienced that I'm currently using this to say that maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, but also he's so inexperienced that maybe he is going to be awesome, right? It is possible that with more chances in the Pacers development program that's been quite good the last couple of years, he could be fantastic and be a good fit, right? A lot of his stats were awesome last year. It would just be a huge jump in responsibility. That is something that I don't think I or anyone has done a good job talking about with Jay Huff. He clearly looks like he could be a good player. I think it's a good trade for the Pacers to go get him. His contract is awesome, but this is the most he'll be asked of by a team that he's ever been on. Thomas Bryant just went through the same thing and had some great moments and some not so great ones.
I expect this will look a little bit like when TJ had to come in and run the ship in Game 7, and it had been amazing. TJ McConnell, happy times until he was the 1A. And then there were a couple turnovers, and fans were like, "All right, this is why he gets the 20 minutes, the 18 minutes." And I think that there might be a similar thing with Jay Huff, where there's a stretch of time where he's getting 22, 23 minutes, and it starts to come up like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't rebound, he doesn't move
that's very
backwards." that's right. We know these things.
It can be tough when there's players who are obviously good but have a flaw or a fit reason with their minutes. Like, you need to reduce it, but it's hard to do. Like when Jalen Smith was starting the first year he was back, it was like, this doesn't work. Like, it clearly didn't work, but it also was like they clearly told him this or promised him this when he signed. It took him like 2 months to stop doing that. Like, his role was too big. You wonder with Huff how long they'll try to figure out what the right role for him is. I also think this is a good line. That's why I said it at that. I think that he is going to finish the season at like 19.1 minutes per game, because him and Jack. Because here's the thing, I think I missed, and I might say it and actually change your answer here, is that Isaiah Jackson's going to miss time. Right, he is going to be hurt this season. He's coming off of an Achilles tear, and so Huff might have some games where he plays like 30 minutes, right, which is just going to juice his averages. If Isaiah Jackson was coming off of non-Achilles tear season, I might take the under here. Not because I don't think Jay Huff's a good player. I think he is, but that minutes line seems right to me. But that is a very close one.
Yeah, if Jackson winds up missing time early, I could see that.
Yeah. Let's move to another player that a lot of people have intrigue in. Had a very nice summer league. This is very similar to one we did last year, talking about how much Jarace Walker is going to play. And I just did games played for Jarace last year, and I ended up being fine with that because he played 75 games and played a lot. It was way over. It wasn't even close. But this player is in a spot where he could get some games that, he played, but like, it doesn't count. That's Johnny Furphy. Is Johnny Furphy going to play real games this year? How close to the rotation is he going to be? Is he going to get time to play? Last year, everybody was saying they have to find a way to play Jarace, and the answer was that he was their first guy out of the rotation. So anytime anybody got hurt, he played. He played a lot. He played 75 games. He earned those times. Furphy's in the same spot this year, but there's not as much banging on the table like Johnny Furphy has to play. He was a second-round pick. They've got time. But he clearly has some promise. Last year, he played 50 games. Only 10 times did he play over 10 minutes in a game last year. So, Will Furr, will Johnny Furphy have 30 games, more or less, this season where he plays more than 10 minutes? I guess I should say like 30 and a half games or 29 and a half. I'll do 29 and a half.
Where he plays more than 10 minutes?
10 minutes in the game.
Over.
That was confident.
Yeah. There's going to be some injuries. Like I said earlier, Nembhard's going to miss time. TJ McConnell's going to miss time. Things are going to shift around. Guys are going to move up. Furphy can play some 2, some 3. I don't think Rick will throw him out there at the 4, but Rick threw Aaron Neesmith out at the 4 once, so who knows? We'll see. I think he will be in the rotation for about 30 games.
Yes, I think that is very possible. Last year, Jarace had the advantage of the fact that he can naturally play 4. The guy he was backing up could play 5. He was being kind of, taught to play the 3. And the guy right in front of him at the 3 could also play the 2 in either Shepard or Mathurin, whoever you call the backup 3-2 last year, right? And so that meant that any position and Nembhard can switch positions and often played with the second unit anyway. That basically meant that any injury to any player at any position besides center, Jarace was the guy getting minutes.
Yep.
They do not have the same situation with Nembhard, right? He cannot become the backup point guard now. He is the starting point guard, right? That's not possible. They don't have the same versatility for Furphy with shifting down to the 2, with Mathurin now being the starter. Like, you're kind of a little more rigid with the position. Not like you can't shift Jarace Walker down to the 2 and then have him and Furphy play together with a big front court. That's not enough shot creation, right? So I obviously think it's similar to Walker last year in that he's one injury away from playing to a few guys. It's just not quite as vast, the number of ways that Furphy could play. So I don't think he's going to get to like 75 like Walker got to last year, but I think he could get to closer to like Jarace's rookie year in terms of number of meaningful games. That year, Jarace finished this. Oh my gosh, my tabs are all over the place, and Basketball Reference, you're killing me. Quit adding pop ads to my page and making it go away. Rookie Jarace Walker played 33 games, much to the chagrin of many a Jarace Walker fan, and not very many of them were high minutes. He only averaged 10 minutes per game. He finished that season with, I'm just all over the place here, with I can't do math fast enough. 20-something games over 10 minutes. So I think it's going to be close, but I will join you in taking the over because just people are going to get hurt, right? It's just how it goes. I think Furphy can play 3-4 very easily. So that's like 4 guys in front of him who could get hurt. If Toppin plays some 5, there's a way that Furphy could play. So there's 3 positions where the line to get Furphy on the floor is obvious. Would they rather play Wiseman than Furphy if a center gets hurt instead of moving Toppin up? Would they rather do something at the guards with Quentin Jackson? Who knows? I think he's going to end up playing probably about 30 games with real minutes. So just to disagree, because I think this one's really close, I'm going to take the under, even though I think the route to the over is extremely obvious, similar to Jarris last year. But they actually have real other options at other spots in a way they didn't with Walker last season.
I truly believe, and not just on occasion, I think we're going to regularly just see weird stuff. And might we see Furphy, Walker, Toppin, Siakam for a 10-game stretch?
Let's go.
I don't
run it.
I've seen Rick with the undergunned teams, and he just finds these weird things, these wrinkles, these guys' specific skills that they may not have had the chance to show in other places. And I don't. Positions don't matter to this team, I don't think.
I do agree with that. They have developed their players well to get around that. Last year, Will, the Pacers were the 14th ranked defense, as we discussed earlier. Much to my surprise, I thought they'd be a little worse than that. They told us they'd be better, and they were right. I should have listened to them more. Last year, also, they had Tyrese Haliburton, who, when he was on the floor, the Pacers had a 116.2 defensive rating. That was 25th in the league. When he was off the floor, that defensive rating was 111.1, which is 8th. So on one hand, it'd be very easy to say, oh, this is perhaps the way they'll be better. No Tyrese Haliburton, better defense, thumbs up, easy peasy. However, Will Furr, they also had Miles Turner on their team last season. Miles Turner on the floor with Haliburton. Their defense was respectable at 114. Turner on Haliburton off, their defense was awesome at 111.6. He is people have correctly identified that his defense was not what it used to be. He is still a positive and talented defensive player that is no longer going to be on the roster. So obviously the Haliburton part of this is a huge swing, which I bring it up. But Turner's on-court defensive rating of 113.6 is very good and would have had the Pacers at a respectable 12th in defense last year. So I present to you basically the same spot as their last season rank. Team rank on the defensive side of the floor, over under 14.5.
Under.
Nice.
I
They're
think
bread and butter. The defensive end.
I expect that Carlisle's going to be able to take Huff and Isaiah Jackson and maybe even some Wiseman and take their specific skills, shot blocking among all of them, and just make it work with them. And they're not going to be Turner, but like you said, Turner had declined some. I think the Pacers are really going to feel losing Turner. Don't get me wrong.
I totally agree with you. You're saying the right things.
Defenses were bent around his shot blocking. Like that was the Pacers system. I'm curious to see how they will function. But I think Carlisle is smart enough, and the guys they have at center have interesting enough skills on the defensive end. There's stuff for Rick to work with.
Yeah, Huff and Jackson don't suck on defense. They're certainly shot deterrents. Like they foul way more often than Turner. They're not as good as pick and roll defenders than Turner. Jackson's a better on the defender perimeter guy. But like Jackson's a better rebounder than the best of that trio, but like none of them are awesome at that. So like they still definitely lose something, like potentially significantly something on the defensive end without Turner, but not having negative defenders as his replacements, it still means that they can survive there. And I do think Haliburton, like he obviously is such a massive boost offensively. Like this is not a critique, but it does give them a chance to improve defensively. And Nembhard's going to be playing, and Mathurin, like he's kind of a swing guy, but he's an important defensive player for them this season. It's going to give them chances to play Shepherd, Walker more together off the bench. That'll help their bench defense. Like I think they should be a little better than last year defensively. And so I agree with you. I think they'll be closer to like 12, 13, 14 range on the defensive end of the floor. And amazingly, given what we both said about the offense, it's going to have to be how they win this year, because we both said like we're both around 40s, like low to mid 40s for their wins. Like you got to be, if you're not top 10 on either offense or defense, you got to be pretty dang close to average on both ends. And so if we both say they're going to be a below average offense, they got to be this level of defensive team to get to that level. And I think they can. Like they have the defensive personnel to do it, as they proved last year, and they finally improved on the end of the floor. I think they can do that again.
Yeah, you're just your typical run and gun defensive juggernaut, you know.
All right. What's a run and gun defensive team called? Is that a thing? Okay. The no fun one. 41 wins in this year's Eastern Conference. You're playing something. You're in the play-in. Maybe you're around the 6th seed. If they have a nice year, they get to that spot. They got to make the playoff field if they're in the play-in. Over, under, Will. Half a playoff win for the Pacers this year. If they make it and get swept, that would still count as the under. Do they win a single playoff game this season?
Oh, do the elimination games count? Play-in.
Play-in games excluded. If they win the 7-8 game and then get swept by Cleveland or something, that'd be an under.
I am going to take the over.
But you did not feel good about that.
It's going to be 1.
Yeah.
I know okay. I don't feel good about it, but I don't without Boston looking at the East. I think every team, the Pacers can take 1. That's
what I actually think, that if they make a series, I'd feel very good about them at least winning a game. I think it's actually the more plausible reason this would be under is that they just aren't in a series at all. Like the play-in tournament goes screwy or sideways. Like we have seen the Haliburton-less Pacers win against good teams, like the road trip they had out west a few years ago. That game in Minnesota this year, that was like one of the most epic games of the season that everybody still holds very near and dear. They were winning at halftime of the freaking NBA Finals Game 7, and he obviously there was only like a 15 whatever minute sample without him, but you know they have the talent to win a few games in his absence. Their ceiling is way worse. They're a different team. They won a finals game with their bench in Game 3. So yes, I think that should they be in a series, I'd be so easily I just so easily would say over. However, the play-in tournament exists, and that's what makes it harder, because like that's just like you run into Miami, and Miami shoots 14 to 22 from 3 in one game, and you're out, like your season's over. So that's why it's not like a slam dunk. But I, like you, will I'll even say it the same way. I'm gonna take the over, but I don't feel awesome about it, because I think when I rank the East, I end up with the Pacers somewhere in the like 7, 8, 9 range. So they're probably gonna be in the play-in. If you're in the 7-8, your chances of making the playoffs, though, are pretty high, just because you have 2 chances, including a home game. And I think they can, even if it's the Knicks or Cavs, who everybody project to be the best in the East, they can, without Haliburton, take a game off those teams. So I'm taking the over as well.
There's no chance they would just copy the Mavs in that scenario and tank for 11th.
No, don't. Nico Harrison, the Oracle, who said it's all part of his plan. I can't with the Mavs. I can't believe it. No, I don't think so. But
all forward Cooper Flag, man. Get on board.
But it's obviously very easy, even if you end up with pick 10 or 11. Like it'll be very easy to be like finding the positives if you lose in the play-in in the East this year, just because of how it projects the standings will look. Well, we only had a couple differences this year, so it's going to be very interesting to see how that. Actually, we only had 2 differences last year, and you were correct on both of them. This year, we have 3. So it is impossible for us to tie, even though it was possible last year. Will used to, right, for 8.9 seconds in the good old days, and the Fieldhouse in its always good old days, even though they were very short-lived. Where can people find you and the things you say about the Pacers now?
Y'all can find me on Twitter, on X, whatever, at Will Furr _NBA. I think that's my handle.
Boots with is one of them. I don't know. It's one of those. We'll be back here this week talking a deeper dive into the Pacers' new guys. We're going to look at the awards. We're going to look at what experts are saying about the team. Do I think they're right or wrong? It's always a good time. You can find me on social media at Tony R. East. This podcast is at Locked On Pacers on many social media platforms. Thank you all so much for listening today. Let me know about all these, where you have the Pacers over-unders, who you think is going to win. Will is undefeated, so keep that in mind. His intuition has not led him astray. Thank you all so much for listening. We will see you soon.